Destroying chemical weapons is not an easy task. Just ask the United States, which is well overdue in destroying its own chemical weapons. Now, at its peak, the United States held 40,000 tons of weaponized chemical agents. In 1985, Congress passed legislation to begin destroying these weapons, and in 1997, when the United States signed on to the Chemical Weapons Convention, it agreed to destroy the remaining 31,000 tons of chemical weapons within 10 years. Now, several nations, including the United States, Russia, South Korea, and India, all missed that deadline and were granted 5-year extensions. But today, there are more than 3,000 tons of mustard gas and other agents locked up in facilities in Kentucky and Colorado, waiting for neutralization. In fact, there's mustard gas leaking in its depot in Pueblo, Colorado, as we speak. And the United States isn't expected to finish destroying all these chemical weapons until 2023. And by then, it will have cost $35 billion and taken over 26 years, or more than 11 years after the deadline imposed by that Chemical Weapons Convention. Which means you could make the argument that the United States and other nations that have yet to destroy all their chemical weapons stockpiles are in violation of the very same treaty that President Obama is now accusing Syria of breaking, even though Syria never signed onto it to begin with. It's also worth mentioning that other countries that the U.S. calls allies are suspected of having chemical weapons and have not signed on to the convention either, including Israel and Egypt, the two largest recipients of U.S. foreign aid. So really, this chemical weapons convention, which the White House says is so sacred and worth dropping bombs over, is already filled with holes. And when it comes to actually ridding the world, and especially the Middle East, of these chemical weapons, it turns out the United States has been one of the biggest obstacles standing in the way. As Middle East scholar Stephen Zuniez recently wrote in Foreign Policy in Focus, Syria has joined virtually all other Arab states in calling for such a weapons of mass destruction free zone for the entire Middle East. In December 2003, Syria introduced a UN Security Council resolution reiterating this clause from 12 years earlier, but the resolution was tabled as a result of a threatened U.S. veto. Why the veto? Well, again, it probably has something to do with Israel's stockpiles of weapons. Look, the world agrees with President Obama. There is no place for chemical weapons use. But when it comes to actually getting around to destroying chemical weapons and encouraging other nations to do the same, well, the United States isn't quite the leader in the world that the White House would have us believe. In Washington, Sam Sachs, RT.